Hey guys, good afternoon. Welcome back to the channel, United Red Devils 20 on YouTube. Hope you're all having a great Thursday afternoon so far. Hope you're all looking forward to the end of this week, and I hope you're all looking forward to another brand new weekend in the first weekend at the start of October 2023 this year. First of all, do me a massive favour for me, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. That is United Red Devils 20 on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel and the community if you're new. Share the video, hit the tweet button, hit the retweet button. Remember to always remember to put the notification bell on at all times to receive dedicated content right throughout the rest of 2023 on the United Red Devils 20 on YouTube for more Fortnite Chatful Season 4 Last Resort, Rocket League Season 12 Porsche, EA Sports FC 24 content, more previews, more match reactions, and much more brand stuff planned for the rest of 2023 on United Red Devils 20 on YouTube. Good afternoon to all you legends and all you legendary people, and welcome to the 2023-24 Premier League preview on match day 7 of the Premier League season between Manchester United and, yet again, it's Crystal Palace at home on Saturday afternoon, on Saturday the 30th of September 2023, 3 p.m, home afternoon kickoff at Old Trafford in front of 75,000 Manchester United fans and Manchester United supporters at home to Crystal Palace, who recently we just knocked out the Carabao Cup, played very, very well for the first time in 8 games, and won 3-0 and got through to the fourth round of the Carabao Cup, where Manchester United in the next round have the repeat of the final of last season against Newcastle United. So another very, very good game to look forward to. But this preview is to talk about Crystal Palace and Manchester United. And can Manchester United make it 3 wins from 3? And 3 consecutive clean sheets in a row for the first time since the start of this Premier League season, where United won 1-0 against Wolves and kept a clean sheet, and then all of a sudden it then started spiralling out of control badly. So can United beat Crystal Palace again? I think the way United played on Tuesday night against Palace in the Carabao Cup third round, and the way Manchester United absolutely ripped Crystal Palace apart due to a lack of Crystal Palace quality or any cutting edge that Palace had in that team, in that lineup that was selected by the Crystal Palace manager, Roy Hodgson. That Palace team, I think, are going to get another well and hard beating on Saturday. I think the way Crystal Palace played against us was quite poor, quite frankly pathetic, and quite frankly, they were very, very lackluster. A Crystal Palace team that you would have expected a lot better game, a lot better of quality. But that team against United was very, very poor. And Crystal Palace, have had a good start to their Premier League campaign. They've had 8 points from their first 6 games, which is going to be, hopefully, 6 points from 7 games on Saturday afternoon. It is very, very tough to see where Crystal Palace are going to cause Manchester United problems. I looked at the performance again from Tuesday night, and I'm looking at it from the bigger picture on Saturday. It's going to be very, very tough for Crystal Palace. I think they're going to come to Old Trafford again knowing the beating they got on Tuesday night is going to be hanging over them massively. And they know Manchester United are going to be up for this again. And they know that another Manchester United win is basically on the cards. And I expect another very, very comfortable afternoon at Old Trafford. But I do expect Crystal Palace and Manchester United to make a lot of hostile changes. I do expect a lot of change in formation from both teams. And I do expect, Crystal Palace to use most of the options I had off the bench on Tuesday night to come in straight into the first team on Saturday afternoon for the United away game. I think Crystal Palace know that under Roy Hodgson, they are not the team they used to be. I think Crystal Palace have lost a lot of quality players. Milivojevic doesn't get in that Palace team anymore. Wilfred Zaha is no longer at the club. Elise, probably one of Crystal Palace's best players, is out long-term injured. And the best player in that Palace team that lights up that Palace squad is Eze, that only featured in the second half, coming on as a second half substitute at Old Trafford on Tuesday night in the Carabao Cup third round. And he did make an instant impact for Crystal Palace and was causing a lot of problems in that midfield. And, Eze was controlling the show. And I think the quality of Eze, it's only going to get bigger and better as a Crystal Palace player. And I think eventually he will get a very, very big top 6 club move in the future. I think, Eze is probably Crystal Palace's biggest spark. Probably at the moment their best player, and can make things happen very, very quickly, and can have a great addition to that Palace lineup. But you look at that Palace team and you look at the injuries they've got, you look at the lack of quality players they don't have. Crystal Palace are a team that, under Roy Hodgson, probably will stay up in the Premier League. I can't see them getting involved in a relegation fight unless things start getting very, very tough and very, very difficult for Crystal Palace. But, Roy Hodgson always seems to keep up Crystal Palace in the Premier League. They never seem to get involved in a relegation fight, and they quite frankly finish quite comfortably in mid-table every Premier League season that Roy Hodgson's kept Palace up for. And I think, Crystal Palace, I wouldn't fear, are going to go down. They're not going to get relegated. They're not going to get in a relegation fight. But I think the way Palace turned up at Old Trafford on Tuesday, there was not much momentum. There was not much hope. There wasn't much positivity out of that Palace team. And I think the morale of Crystal Palace, with the lack of selection and a lack of, as well as in the midfield, Palace suffered badly against United, and United were absolutely running the show. And it was quite easy for Manchester United to win that game Tuesday night and to get through to the fourth round of the Carabao Cup, because I don't think Palace turned up. I thought they were very, very poor. I think the lack of organisation and a lack of quality in that Palace team is very, very easy to tell. And I think Crystal Palace long-term are in for a very difficult future, because, Elise, who is probably one of Crystal Palace's best players on the right wing, is out long-term with a bad injury. Eze hardly featured and only got 45 minutes to prove it in the second half. And then apart from that, you look at that Palace team, Jeffrey Schlupp isn't as good as he used to be. He was only good when he won the league title at Leicester City. I think Milivojevic, I don't think he's even in the Palace team anymore. I think he's not even in the club. I'm not 100% sure what's happened with Milivojevic. And Zaha, obviously, is now at Galatasaray. Obviously, a very, very big miss. And for me, Edouard and Mateta as Crystal Palace's fronts too, they're not really strikers that you would think Crystal Palace can get a song out of. I don't think their quality is very, very good, and the goals aren't exactly guaranteed in a Palace team that is lacking players, lacking squad depth. And you look at that Palace team at Tuesday night, I think United are going to have a very, very easy show on Saturday. I think it's going to be another very convincing Manchester United win, where we've scored 4 goals in our last 2 games. We've kept 2 clean sheets in a row, and we've won 2 large games in a row. And it's very, very important that Man United build on this momentum that they've got. I think we will keep another clean sheet on Saturday. I can't see Crystal Palace coming to Old Trafford trying to get the win. I think, the damage has already been done from Tuesday night. I think Palace know the game is already up. And I think, in my opinion, that if Palace carry on playing the way they are, they might get sucked into a relegation fight. But I think there's worse teams in the Premier League than Crystal Palace at this moment in time. But I think push comes to shove that if Palace start struggling and they get heavily beaten on Saturday, I think Roy Hodgson's future has got to be questioned long term. That is Roy Hodgson the right man to take this Palace team forward? I think physically, logically and mentally, I think Roy Hodgson has only been brought back in as Palace manager to get Palace by till the end of the season, and then Palace try and replace him at the end of the season. And then obviously Roy Hodgson did that ill health against Aston Villa, which he wasn't be able to coach a team for. And obviously he had his assistant manager take charge of the game. I think Roy Hodgson hasn't got long left in management, and I don't think long-term he is Crystal Palace's answer as a long-term manager to take this club forward. I think, if he can get Palace safely secured for next season for Premier League football, I think he will retire from management permanently, and then Palace try and push on, but try and go with the same style of football that Roy Hodgson has influenced in that Crystal Palace team. But I think that drubbing they got off Man United, Palace are going to find it very difficult to cope. I think, United haven't got it easy. You look at the amount of injuries we've got, that isn't no excuse. United really still should be beating a team like Crystal Palace with the quality we have compared to their players. And I think United have got the better coaching setup, the better manager. And on the pitch, we clearly have better and more quality players than what Crystal Palace have got in their team. And I think that showed on Tuesday night because we were dominating the midfield. The attack of ours, it wasn't exactly lighting things up, putting the ball in the net. But, we did score 3 very, very good goals, and Crystal Palace's defending was at times at 6s and 7s. Crystal Palace's defending. Soon as you buy an ex-Arsenal reject in Rob Holding, who can't even get an England squad now because he's crap, that whole Crystal Palace team is falling to bits at the back. Soon as you put an ex-Arsenal reject and Rob Holding in, that back four fell apart, quite frankly, and miserably. And it happened very quickly as well. Crystal Palace is defending. I mean, the man marking is terrible. The defending is atrocious. They don't man mark the opposition players. And Crystal Palace made this look so easy for Man United. I think if Palace would have had their better players available, and for that game on Tuesday night against United in the Carabao Cup third round, if they had Elise starting and Eze starting and Dean Henson would have picked up that injury, Palace might have sneaked something. But at the end of the day, I think United have got the quality to get another win in a row, another clean sheet. And I think Crystal Palace will be put to the sword again. I think United, the way we're playing at the moment, the momentum is there to carry on and go on this long winning run. And we've got more winnable games coming up. You look at the Palace game Saturday, we've then got Galatasaray, we've then got Brentford, we've then got FC Copenhagen, and then we've got the Manchester derby. I think if we can win all these next few games ahead of the Manchester derby, things might start looking up from United point of view, and the team might build on this confidence and take this mentally forward to the rest of the season. It is going to be difficult. Of course it is. We have got difficult fixtures coming up in October, and it's going to be tough. No team is easy to beat anymore. The fear factor is no longer there when an opposition team comes to Old Trafford, but we need to build on this momentum now. You've beaten Burnley and Palace in your last 2 games, and I mean, no disrespect to Burnley or Crystal Palace, but you're kind of easy to beat. You're not going to offer Manchester United much problems, and you're not going to cause any significant problems that are going to affect Manchester United on the pitch. And I think United, the way they played on Tuesday night, if we can play the way we did in that first half where we were dominating the ball, dominating possession and causing Crystal Palace several problems in that first half, as soon as the United players were running that Palace back four, they went running back into their own shell, and basically Palace were vulnerable as hell, and United put them to the sword. It could have easily been 4, 5 or 6 at Old Trafford on Tuesday night, because that is how well Manchester United played. But the organisation of that Crystal Palace team, I mean, there's not much quality coming off that bench, and there's not much quality coming in that first team. I think you look at United, you look at Crystal Palace, all this hype around Doucouré and Palace's midfield is massively, massively overhyped. I don't think he's very good. And he even got brought off in the second half for Will Hughes. I mean, as a Crystal Palace manager, you're bringing off a better player for a worse player in Will Hughes to replace Doucouré, who's got the hype train of a speed train, like the Flying Scotsman, thinking he's very, very good. But Doucouré apparently is one of Crystal Palace's best players. I saw nothing from that player on Tuesday night that is long-term. He's going to be world-class. He's going to be phenomenal. He's going to be an excellent, excellent Crystal Palace player who's going to go on and build a very successful future at a top 6 club. I'm sorry, the hype train is massively, massively overhyped. That Crystal Palace midfield was getting overrun by Hannibal Mabry, Mason Mount and Casemiro. I mean, I don't rate Hannibal Mabry. I mean, if the rumours are true, we're giving him a new contract. It does long-term worry me, because I don't think, in my opinion, Hannibal Mabry is the right answer. I don't think he's the right player. I personally view that if Hannibal Mabry is given a new contract and he starts again on Saturday, it does concern me that we have got better players on the bench not being used instead of Hannibal Mabry, that offers apparently excitement, enthusiasm and a fantastic attacking play in that United midfield. I mean, he was lucky he didn't get sent off on Tuesday night. He was on a yellow card and made 4 or 5 stupid tackles after, which could have seen him given a second yellow card, eventually ending up in a red card, and United would have been down to 10 men, and Palace probably would have come back and won the game, and probably would have scored the goals to have got them through to the 4th round of the Carabao Cup. But luckily, the substitution was made at the right time to bring Hannibal Mabry off, because otherwise, if United would have lost him, United would have lost that game and we would have been out. The defending champions would have been out of the Carabao Cup and we would have lost. But I think if Hannibal Mabry, and Palestri as well, I think, apparently both of them were excellent. They were phenomenal. They were world class. They were, stunning performances that were lighting up that United team on Tuesday night. I mean, I don't know what game people are watching, but Palestri isn't good enough. Hannibal Mabry isn't good enough. I personally wouldn't even give them new contracts. I think for me, long term, their futures lie away from Old Trafford. I do not think they're first team players. I don't think they're first team quality. And quite frankly, there are better players at Manchester United than Hannibal Mabry and Palestri. Long term, they are not the answer long term for Manchester United's success going forward. There are better players at this club than Hannibal Mabry and Palestri. But in my opinion, they might have to start Saturday, because the reason why Scott McTominay, Christian Eriksen didn't start Tuesday night in the Carabao Cup third round at home to Palace was Scott McTominay and Christian Eriksen both picked up illness, which yet again is very, very worrying that we have still got so many players unavailable. And you look at the games United have got coming up. You look at the squad depth and you look at the quality we've got unavailable and the quality we don't have. It's very worrying that, Scott McTominay and Eriksen probably would have played Tuesday night instead of Hannibal Mabry and Palestri. Both of them probably would have started the game for United. Even though I don't rate Scott McTominay, he probably would have started the game Tuesday night. But with Christian Eriksen also unavailable and Scott McTominay also unavailable maybe for Saturday's game against Palace again in the league, if they're out both through illness, it would not surprise me in the slightest that United stick with the same team they went with on Tuesday night, because apparently, if the rumours are true, like we've read this morning, that Lisandro Martinez and Reguilon look like they are both going to be unavailable again for Saturday, because apparently Lisandro Martinez is still feeling the pain in his foot, which he's been feeling in the pain barrier since the Arsenal game, due to that metatarsal he snapped last season against Sevilla. You do worry what the hell the team's going to be Saturday, because if Martinez is unavailable and we've still got no Reguilon at left back, will Ten Hag go with the same team? I don't think he can. I personally do not think he can go with the same team again. I think changes do need to be made. We need to start being a bit more ruthless, and we need to start being a bit more consistent with who are the better players, because I think all this squad rotation, all this changing things up, it doesn't work. You should be really going for the juggler. You really should be playing your best team week in, week out in every competition United are in. That's the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, the Premier League, the Champions League. You really should be playing your best team, Eric. You shouldn't have to be using Hannibal Mabry. You shouldn't have to be using Scott McTominay. You shouldn't have to be using Palestri or Harry Maguire. We need to start being a bit more serious on the pitch. We need to start seeing a bit more brutalness from the manager, that you shouldn't have to be using Harry Maguire, who was another problem for United Tuesday night, because Mateta was having an absolute field day on Harry Maguire, absolutely running rings around him. And I'm sorry, Harry Maguire ain't good enough. I don't want to see him in that United team on Saturday, but the problem is at United, you look at the players unavailable. Ahmad, Kobe Manu, Luke Shaw, Malacia, Wan-Bissaka, Lisandro Martinez, Scott McTominay, Eriksen, Sergio Reguilon, Jadon Sancho, and Anthony. That is 11 first-team players out for United long-term. Malacia and Luke Shaw's injury that have been reported this morning are both long-term injuries, as well as Aaron Wan-Bissaka. So forget either of those three being featuring for United in the next 2 to 3 months. All three of them are out long-term injuries. And then you look at Kobe Manu. Is it going to be back to another pathetic, unorganised international break again in October that we don't want? Kobe Manu ain't going to be out to the international break. And if the rumours are true that Reguilon ain't going to be available either, I don't know who we're playing at left-back again. Because you can't keep putting Amrabat at left-back. You can't keep playing Hannibal Mabry in the midfield. It doesn't work. Amrabat was better in the midfield soon as Mason Mount was substituted on Tuesday night. And that Mason Mount substitution, it worried me. But we got clarification that that substitution was pre-planned. It was pre-planned to happen under Ten Hag on Tuesday. That substitution, Mason Mount was only fit for the first 45 minutes. He wasn't fit enough to play the whole 90, which was a bit more promising. I thought, thank God, after reading the reports of that. So I think the whole team will change Saturday. But I don't want to see players being played at a position that they're not comfortable in. Amrabat, you shouldn't be playing him at left back. That's a joke. You really shouldn't be playing Hannibal Mabry. He ain't good enough. And nor is Palestri. I'm sorry, the hype train of those two is massively unjustified. Hannibal Mabry and Palestri have done fuck all this season. They've offered nothing going forward, no attacking threat, and Palestri tries to take everything on his own. He ain't good enough. And I wish people would realise that we need to be a bit more indecisive. We need to be a bit more conclusive here. Do you really see Hannibal Mabry and Palestri as the long-term project, the long-term solutions? I'm sorry, no. There are better midfielders and better wingers out there. Even at United, we've got better players than both of them. You could say Eriksen's better, Mount's better, Casemiro is better, Fernandes is better, Amrabat is better, Ahmad's better than Palestri. So is Sancho, so is Anthony. All offer something for United going forward. Palestri tries to do everything on his own, loses the ball, concedes possession, and then the opposition team are on the counter-attack. We need to be conclusive here that I don't want either of them starting. I think that team will change massively on Saturday afternoon. I think Ten Hag will make several changes, but with the players unavailable, what would you do? I mean, the back four ain't picking itself at the moment, and nor is the midfield, and nor is the attack. I mean, at this moment in time, Ten Hag could have done with Jadon Sancho. He could have done with Anthony. But Sancho is still suspended from the first team squad currently because of his attitude and the way he's acted like a spoiled little 5-year-old baby and thrown his toys out the pram because Jadon Sancho thinks he's God's gift and thinks he's bigger than the football club, he's bigger than the manager, and he's bigger than some of the other players at this club. Anthony is still on absence of leave under the serious allegations he's facing. Ten Hag could have done with both of them on that right wing because Palestri ain't answering it. Sorry, what's he done in the last... What did he do against Bayern Munich? What did he do against Palace Tuesday night? What did he do? What did he do? He did not offer nothing. I think if Jadon Sancho has got any cojones or any balls, apologise and come out and say, I made a mistake and you're back in the first team. But if the manager and Sancho are still at a standstill, there is no way Sancho has got a future at this club. I think he's done. I don't want players like that in the United dressing room. I do not want players like that getting one over the manager again. It ain't right. It isn't fair. Ten Hag is trying to get this club back to where it should be. And that is winning the league. That is winning trophies consecutively every season. If that is not being shown, God help us, basically. God help us. Because if we'd ever lost Ten Hag, if he was sacked or he resigned, and the players would have won again. The players would have won their battle. That the players are bigger than the manager and his decisions. If that happens, then these players need to be called out. But I don't expect any change on the Sancho situation unless he apologises, which I don't think he's going to do. Anthony, I don't think we're going to see him in the United shirt again. It breaks me to say it, but can we see Anthony playing for United again with the allegations he's facing? I mean, that's another story. It's another Mason Greenwood 2.0 situation all over again. Can we see him back in the team? Only time will tell what the future holds for both of those two. So the options going forward, it looks very bleak. But if we're trying to pick a front three for Saturday, it would have to be Marcus Rashford. I couldn't really, justify why he was benched, but for the Burnley game, I did call out for saying what has happened to Marcus Rashford. Why is his form dipped? Why is his goals dried up? Maybe dropping him against Palace Tuesday night was the correct decision, but I would have played a really strong front three because that Palace team were there for the taking and there was goals to be had. So I couldn't really see why that didn't happen. But from a bigger point of view, maybe I can see why it was happening because his form's dried up, his form has dipped, and he ain't scoring the goals now. So maybe that was correct from Ten Hag to do that in the first place, to drop Rashford, to see what it would do to his morale, his confidence, and his positivity. But I would expect Rashford to come back in. I think Rashford will be deployed back on the left wing where his preferred playable position is. And then down the middle, I think there's only one option. Rasmus Højlund is probably the answer. And I know people say, well, Martial did score a goal on Tuesday night, but what did he do to really do anything apart from that? I mean, he was getting bullied off the ball by Rob Holding. He was getting bullied off the ball by Decore. And Martial, I mean, how many times did we see him lose the ball and lose possession? Yes, he did make a good run through the Casemiro world-class assist to grab the third goal, which was very well taken from Martial. But I wouldn't start him against Palace again on Saturday. I would rather have a very pacey striker that can hold the ball up, bring the ball down, and show the speed and versatility that, I think Rasmus Højlund has shown in several of the games this season so far. Rasmus Højlund is the next big thing we need to talk about. Rasmus Højlund, I thought, is going to be up there for one of the best elite strikers in the world of European football. I think Rasmus Højlund is going to reach Erling Haaland's level. I really do believe. I think he is going to be up there for one of the best strikers in European football eventually. And his price tag is only going to keep going up and up in the future where may several big European giants might want him. But I think we need to deploy Højlund back down the middle. I think, Højlund is the preferred choice. Martial is seen as the backup. I think we all know that. So I do fully expect Rasmus Højlund to start that game Saturday afternoon. I think then on the right wing, I think we drop Pellistri and bring Garnacho in. I thought Garnacho was probably one of United's standout players Tuesday night. He got his goal and he took it very, very well. And, from Mount to Lowe to Pellistri to find Garnacho in the box, it was a very, very well combined team goal. And it did make the difference because it got United the lead against Palace. And it basically set us on the way to win that game Tuesday night. So I think Garnacho has to start. I think he caused Palace so many problems. And I mean, his pace is frightening. His skills are frightening. And he was shiting the back four Palace out like a nightmare. They were shitting themselves, that Palace back four. They didn't know where to turn, where to look. Because they know as soon as Garnacho got the ball, I mean, he could have easily had a hat-trick Tuesday night. That was how good Garnacho was. And for me, he will be up there on Ronaldo's level. I think Garnacho will get there eventually, that he will reach Cristiano Ronaldo's level of being a world-class, phenomenal footballer. And I think he will get there. But I think he's still very young. He's still got a lot to learn. And going forward, he needs to start scoring a few more decent goals. And then we can start having these conversations that maybe Garnacho is the one for the left wing position. But then you've got Rashford there, so maybe there's something to consider there. But I would drop Garnacho in favor. I would start Garnacho in favour of Pellistri. I wouldn't drop Garnacho. No bloody chance. Garnacho is 10 times the player Pellistri is. I think Garnacho has got the quality, like I said, to reach Ronaldo and Messi's level. I think he's up there for one of the best young players in the world at the moment. And I think I would start him on the right. So my front three would be Rashford, Højlund and Garnacho. And I would start all players on Saturday afternoon. And then I think we have to move on to the back four. Well, it's quite clear to see who the back four will be Saturday. And it's very frustrating. It's very pinpoint what that back four will be. It will be Diego Dalot, Rafael Varane, Victor Lindelof. But I don't know what we're doing at left back, because does Ten Hag go with Amrabat again? Does he put Amrabat at left back, even though Amrabat says and prefers to be in the midfield three with Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes? Do we have to put Amrabat there if Reguilon, Eriksen and McTominay are all unavailable? That might end up having to happen again. Personally, we look at the patience from Amrabat. We look at how long he had to wait to get his move to United this summer, and how determined he was to get the move, and it happened eventually on transfer deadline day in August. You look at it and you think to yourself, if I'm coming to Manchester United, I should be in that midfield three. I should be being deployed at left back. But like Amrabat says, wherever the manager wants to play him, he'll play him. But he did then go on to say, I prefer to be in the midfield. So I think Ten Hag's got to look at that and go with some consideration that Amrabat has to start in that midfield three, but then he might have to start Amrabat at left back because, like I said, if McTominay and Eriksen are both ruled out through illness, and you've then got Fernandes, Mount and Casemiro in the midfield three, which I do expect it to be, depending on if Mount is fully fit to play 90 minutes, Amrabat might have no choice. Because if Reguilon ain't available, Amrabat's playing. Amrabat was probably up there with Casemiro. I mean, some of the balls he was pinging from 40, 50 yards out to our other players was phenomenal. I've not seen a midfield ability like that since Paul Scholes. And that's me being deadly serious. I think Amrabat is the next Paul Scholes in the making. The balls he was playing, he was absolutely pinging them left, right and centre. And the passes were being made, and they happened. We haven't seen that from United. We've not seen two decent world-class CDMs in that team for fucking years, and now we've got two in the same team, and that is going to make the world a difference. That whole midfield situation now has solved itself. We've got Amrabat and Casemiro for the future, and I think Amrabat's move will be made permanently because he showed on Tuesday night what a great addition and what a great performance he's already been putting in the United shirt. That has to be fucking praised, by the way. I mean, the comfortableness in the midfield now with Amrabat next to Casemiro, that team is going to go places. They were controlling that midfield. And it was unbelievable to see that Solskjaer didn't see this, Mourinho didn't see this, Van Gaal didn't see this, Ragnick didn't see this, Solskjaer didn't see it, and nor did David Moyes. They didn't see that the CDM position was a concern. Now look at it. Casemiro and Amrabat. I mean, if someone would have said to me in a few years' time, after Solskjaer was gone, that, McTominay and Fred would be gone. Well, McTominay's still here, unfortunately. Fred was sold. And that you would have Amrabat, Casemiro, Mount, Fernandes and Eriksen in your midfield five options, I would have bitten your hand off, but like, wow, that is something to look forward to. And now we've got all those players available because Scott McTominay is surplus requirements. He might as well find himself a new club in January because he's hardly going to play. But I would love to know how Scott McTominay and Christian Eriksen have both picked up a bug or an illness. I would love to know how. I mean, you have to question that United health department, that what the fuck is going on here. You look at the amount of injuries and you look at the amount of illnesses these players are picking up. It's quite frankly unbelievable that our squad is so on its knees that the depth is getting worse and United are basically getting to squeaky bum time, scraping results due to the lack of squad players available. That's the big problem. So United, by Christmas, I think this team is going to be shattered. I think this team's going to be exhausted by Christmas. We're only theoretically, if you think about it logically, We're only 2 months away from Christmas because it's going to be the 1st of October on Sunday. We're only 2 months away. And you've got to think to yourself, bloody hell. You look at the amount of games United are playing and you look at the amount of changes Ten Hag's having to make and the amount of players he's got unavailable. God forbid if like Rashford or Bruno or Casemiro or Amrabat were to pick up an injury, we would be fucked because we've already got enough players unavailable. And Ten Hag, you look at that bench, like I know what the bench will probably be. I think it will be Bandia, the backup goalkeeper. Onana will start again Saturday. Harry Maguire. If Scott McTominay and Eriksen are both fit, they'll be benched. Reguilon, I'm hoping, will start, even though I don't think he will because he's being assessed still by the United Health Department. So Reguilon will start. So I then fully expect Maguire to be benched. Probably Palestri, Dan Gore, Hannibal Mabry, Martial. Probably the 9 bench options for Saturday. If United can get some of their first team players back fit and healthy for Saturday, but it depends what's going to happen. It depends if Eriksen, McTominay and Reguilon can get fit. And I think they've got to. And I know people saying, well, you can't rush these players back, but what are we expecting to do all season to scrape by again and get by with what we've currently got? That we've already got a squad. We've already got a team of players. We've hardly got anyone available as it currently stands to fulfill this United team. So I would question, like, you can't, and the problem is fans and supporters will blame Ten Hag for it. Ten Hag is trying to get by with what he's got. I completely agree. He's trying to get by with what he's got. But that's not his fault. If the board and the owners would have backed him properly in the last 2 transfer windows and in January of this year as well, we wouldn't have had these problems. We wouldn't have had them. And United do not fix their own mess. And the squad's going to face for the consequences because this squad is picking up way too many injuries. Wan-Bissaka, I said to you, is not good enough. He's injury prone. He should have got rid of him. Luke Shaw, Malacia are both bloody injury prone. They should have got rid of them. I told you so. Scott McTominay is not reliable, nor is Victor Lindelof, and nor is Harry Maguire. All injury prone and not good enough to play for this club. Palestri, Hannibal Mabry are both not good enough. And you wonder why United are finishing mid-table and trying to scrape for European spot again. Well, if we do not get European football and we don't get back in the Champions League next season, I'm not blaming Ten Hag. No way am I blaming the manager. It's on the board, it's on these owners, and it's on the team we have got. Because the rest of them cannot be trusted. The board and the owners are delusional. They think they back the manager. You've not backed the manager since he's been at this club. Not one is shown to me that you've backed this manager in proper transfer windows. If we had the Qataris here buying the club and they were in charge, look at the transfer windows we could have had. But no, they didn't want to sack. The Glazers are money pinching, they're thieves, they're greed. And Richard Arnold and John Murtaugh think they're God's gift and they do a very good job, but they have to do their job because they're also puppets for the Glazers. And people think they're great at doing their job. Look at their recruitment. Look how great they were. Look how successful they were. No, they weren't. They were absolutely delusional, absolutely pathetic. And look at the team we've got available and look at the players we've got unavailable. And Ten Hag is between a rock and a hard place. He is scratching his head because if he hasn't got Reguilon, he hasn't got Martinez, he hasn't got Eriksen, he ain't got McTominay. You add Ahmad, Manu, Shaw, Wan-Bissaka, Sancho and Anthony, and they're missing somebody here. Sancho, Anthony, Kobe Manu, Luke Shaw, Malacia, Wan-Bissaka, Ahmad, Sandro Martinez, Christian Eriksen, Scott McTominay, and Sergio Reguilon. Without those 11, Ten Hag is probably having sleepless nights because he realises he hasn't got a team. He realises he hasn't got a good lot of players to pick from. And he realises a lot of that dead wood is going to have to start. And he doesn't want to, but he's probably going to have to. But the team, I think, will be Onana in goal, obviously. It will be Delo, Varane and Lindelof. If Amrabat's going to have to start a left back, you're going to have to. But I'm going to hope Reguilon will be fit. The midfield, I would then expect Mount to come straight back in. Casemiro and Fernandes. And the front three will be Rashford, Højlund and Garnacho. But would I be surprised if he went with the same team he went with that Tuesday? Will Pellistri start again on the wing? Will Amrabat start at left back? Will Mount start with Fernandes and Casemiro instead of Hannibal? We have got players, but we haven't got the quality we want. And it depends if Mason Mount's also fit to play 90 minutes. He might not be fit again. He might have to play only 45 minutes again, which again, that's concerning if Mason Mount's only fit for the first 45 minutes of the game and he can't do much more. That's worrying. But am I surprised by it? No. Am I surprised we're getting by this? No. Am I surprised we're in the mess we're in? Nope. I'm not surprised. We're trying to turn around this Premier League season. But the momentum's on our side. We've got 2 wins in a row, 2 clean sheets. Palace are there again for the taking on Saturday. And I think United will beat them. If we can play with the same intensity and the same pressure, and we can take Palace's vulnerability to the core, Palace will concede too many goals. I mean, the whole Palace team collapsed because they had no Eze, no Elise, and as soon as Dean Henderson picked up an injury in that first 10 minutes, the whole Crystal Palace game plan went out the window, and basically it was a car crash. Palace were bloody dreadful, and I was expecting a lot more from a Roy Hodgson team. Am I surprised by it? No. I think Roy Hodgson, like I said, has been brought in to get this team safe and get them by till the end of the season in May 2024 next year. And I think Palace, if they play the way they did on Tuesday, they know they're going to get beaten again and it's going to be a heavy drop-in. And like I said, I got the scoreline right. I did go for 3 or 4-0 Manchester United and I went for 3-0 in the end. And I wish I put a bet on it because I won some bloody money. But at the end of the day, United know Palace are weak. They know the vulnerability is there, and United showed them up. But Palace made it look so easy. Rob Holding's not made a difference. Dean Henderson, well, injury-prone. Well done, Crystal Palace, are buying him for 20 million, you bloody idiots. And then you've got no Zaha. If Eze doesn't play and Elise ain't available, then that Palace team is basically shit. That Palace team has got nothing going forward, no attacking front three, and the midfield is dreadful. The Decore hype train has died off. And I think Palace, like I said, are in for a big, tough Saturday afternoon because I expect United to win comfortably again. Like I said, I think United will win. We'll make it 3 wins in a row. We'll keep a clean sheet. We'll play the same intensity we did on Tuesday night. And Palace will be there for the taking. And I'm going to go again. I'm going to go for 3 or 4-0 Manchester United. If we play the way we did and we play the way we tore Palace apart, that Palace team could concede 4, 5, 6, 7 goals. That was how easy Palace made it look. Rob Holding was meant to secure Palace's defence. Yeah, it really, really secured the defence. It was bloody shocking. And Dean Henderson, well, United got rid of him right at the right time because you paid 20 million from Palace. And then he got injured 10 minutes on his return to United. So that was very good business by Palace negotiators to bring a Deadwood injury-prone player to Crystal Palace, and he's already picked up an injury. So I bet the Palace board and the owners are very, very happy with that, aren't you? But, you know, that ain't our fault. They shouldn't have bought a Deadwood player in the end. But like I said, this will be a comfortable United win. We'll get the 3 points. We'll get another win, and Palace will struggle like they did Tuesday night. And if Palace are beaten heavily like they were on Tuesday, I think Roy Hodgson's got to be questioned. I think the players have got to be brought into the boardroom and the dressing room. And I think Roy Hodgson has got to make a decision on his health, on his future at the club, and as the Palace manager, because there's only so much Roy Hodgson can do for Crystal Palace, and time and push will come to shove eventually that Palace shit Tuesday. They know from Manchester United that Man United are going to smell blood. They're going to smell the vulnerability. And Palace are weak in the midfield. They're weak in attack, and they've got a very weak back four. And United, I do fully expect to win again. And if we can play with the same intensity and the same pressure we showed Tuesday, United will crumble Palace apart. They will tear this Palace team apart. And I do fully expect it to happen. But, you know, you never guarantee anything with Manchester United. It's always up and down like a bloody roller coaster. Just like Ronan Keating's song, Life is a Roller Coaster. And you never know with Man United. But like I said, I'm feeling a lot more confident now over the last 2 games. I'm feeling a lot more positive. And I'm feeling that, you know, we can start putting these teams away now. And if we can get all these injury players back, then United will be on the up. The results will get better, and United will start being a bit more consistent on and off the pitch. So, like I said, I'm going to go for 3-0 to Man United on Saturday afternoon. I hope you enjoyed the preview. Hit the like button, hit the share button. Please subscribe to the channel and the community if you're new. Bottom right-hand corner on the United Red Devils 20 on YouTube. Share the video. Hit the tweet button, hit the retweet button, and remember to always remember that notification bell. Put that bell on at all times as well to receive dedicated live content on the channel right for the rest of 2023 on United Red Devils 20. For more Fortnite, Chat 4, Season 4 Last Resort, Rocket League Season 12 Porsche, plenty of EA Sports FC 24 content coming up this afternoon with more Manchester United Career Mode. We've got more of our Predict series coming up on Friday morning at midnight, so look out for that as well. And then please join me for the reaction Saturday evening, which hopefully is a Manchester United win. Hopefully it's another 3 points. Hopefully we can start climbing that Premier League table, and hopefully, United can make it 3 wins from 3, and hopefully we can keep another clean sheet, and hopefully Ten Hag's team will be on the up. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday afternoon. Stay safe. Be nice. Be kind. Be nice to each other. You're all legends. You're all legendary. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.